So he went along meeting his asatiza, taking the du'as again, taking some nasihat from them. So among the people he came to meet was Hazrat Shaykh Fakhruddin rahmatullah alayh. So he came, met him, and then he asked for some nasihat. So he said the nasihat he gave me was, that he said you put deen in front of you, put the dunya behind you, and inshallah Allah Ta'ala will take care of all your affairs. Now this was the nasihat that he gave him. So the Moulana took this nasihat to heart to such an extent that when he returned, so there was an opening or there was a need in the little town of Moirava, which is still can be called a little town. That time it was even more little. Small little town, and well, there was a need there because that time in the whole of, let alone, in fact the whole of Natal, they perhaps were about maybe in Durban itself there might have been 4 or 5 ulama. The rest of Natal there were less than a dozen. The whole of KZN. 1 dozen is too much. Maybe about 5 or 6 ulama in the whole of that province. Besides maybe the few that were in Durban, 1 or 2 in Maritzburg. So now there was this need there, this whole area was without any alim. So he took up this post. I recall the house because I was about 4 or 5 years old and my father had gone in Jamaat for a bit of extended time at that time again. So with my marhuma mother, we stayed there for a period of time. So I have a vague picture of that in my mind still. Wood and iron house. There was no geyser. It was, and the winters there are very, very cold, even now extremely cold. That ice would actually seep in from the cracks and so on. And outside used to be completely white with frost in the mornings. And in that house he lived for several years, without any of that comforts and luxuries. And he was being given a salary at that time of 90 rands a month, which was sufficient to take care of the basic needs. But even in that time, according to those standards also, it was a lower than average salary. But fine, his basic needs were getting taken care of. He couldn't afford to have a car, for example. So once in a while, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, he would travel from Moirava all the way to Stanger to come visit our parents. So he would travel with his family and 1 child at that time by hitching a lift. From one point to the next, then from that point to the next, and finally reach Stanger. And then, unless there was somehow some arrangement made to get to Durban with somebody or Testa, otherwise by hitching a lift he'd come back. Already with a family, with 1 child, but he took all this in his stride. Now all this is continuing, and at that time, from the Kirk Street Masjid in Johannesburg, there was an offer made to him to come to the Kirk Street Masjid. And among the things that was told to him up front, that the salary will be 800 rands. Now where's 90 rands? And with 800 rands, almost more than 7 times more. So like somebody is earning 10,000 today, or somebody tells him, you come here, you 70,000. The issue was that he was given this offer. Some of the town people got to hear about this. So they came in some concern and worry that perhaps now Ma is going to pack up right now and go away. He got the offer, received it, but he hadn't responded anything yet. So when some of the town people came, he told them, look, the last thing that is going to make me leave from here is any salary more than what I'm getting here. If there is some other specific need, one of the things he told them, look, the cold is very severe here. If something makes me move, it might be the cold. But I'm not going to move for the sake of any salary. You can be rest assured about that. So if you heard that this is the offer and that is making you concerned, you have no reason to worry about that. This is where I'm staying for now. And he remained there. And he remained there for a good time more thereafter, until whatever the taqaza became more important to move to escort. It wasn't any much more in terms of salary. It perhaps might be similar, but there was some further needs there, until finally he was put under tremendous pressure by the seniors of that time, Hazrat Maulana Abdullah Kumudri Sahab, the marhum Maulana Ansari Sahab at that time, and few others who had been the founder members of the Jamiyat of that time, of KZN. They were the founders of Jamiyat, Hazrat Maulana Desai Sahab of Pietermaritzburg, a few others, 7 of them. So they put a lot of pressure on him to now move to Durban and be based in the office of the Jamiyat, and he was appointed as a secretary. That is the time when he moved across from escort and came to Durban on this pressure of the Akabir of the time to come and take on this very important position, which he then continued with for a long time until others, alhamdulillah, had come in and he groomed them. One of the people that worked for a long time with him, as I said, all these things are without tartib as they come into mind. One person who worked for a long time, Moulana Abdul Rahman Khan, he had not formally completed his studies at that time, and he was not somebody who could give any bayans, etc. at that time. But and now he was also an employee of the Jamiyat, more in the administration, meaning in the clerical side of things, doing the typing and doing these kind of things. He says, Moulana trained me. He used to help me to write out a bayan. And because there was hardly any ulama at the time, now there was a need for Jummah somewhere. He says, Moulana used to actually, now he was another employee in the Jamiyat. And this was also a tremendous quality of Hazrat, that he would, that himmat afzai to others, grooming them, making them move forward, creating the means for them to be advanced. He says, he taught me how to go about this, would help me, would give me the mawad, would assist me to prepare it, would sometimes, if I remember correctly, he said, even listen to it. Until he managed to start doing his own preparation, and mashallah, he used to give very good bayans. Now in this way, there were so many others that he groomed in that manner. I recall I had just finished off schooling at that time, and it was another couple of months before starting off in Azadville. So I spent a few months in Durban. I hadn't even seen the inside of a Darul or anything yet. I had completed hifz, but no exposure to anything else. And out of the blue one day while I was in Durban, they told me tomorrow you're going to, or this week you're going to give the Jummah khutbah. That was like the biggest shock of my life. I'm going to give the Jummah khutbah. Where am I going to manage this? So no, he called for me, gave me the kitab, you go over this, called me again, listened to it. Then 2-3 times in the course of that week, heard the khutbah, which I'm going to be reciting from looking inside the kitab. And there were some things that he corrected in the recitation. And this kind of himmat of Zaid. There were many young kuffars in the community, mashallah, who were mutasharri, etc. He would give them opportunities to perform the salah, to lead the salah in his masjid, as a kind of grooming, as a kind of himmat of Zaid, to take them forward. This was a very good, very ajib quality of his. That always concerned to take others forward, to advance them, to create the means for them to move forward. So in any case, we were talking about this aspect of this advice that Shaykh Fakhruddin Rahmatullah gave him, and this istighna that came as a result. That money didn't mean anything to him. Allah Ta'ala opened the doors for him from unseen sources, but it meant nothing to him. There were many people who told me, some while he was alive, many after he passed away, that when they came to him for something, sometimes some ulama, etc., they had a real problem. He put his hand in his pocket, whatever came in his hand at that time. As far as his sakhawat and generosity is concerned, time is over. This was something which, again, those who worked with him or were close to him in the Jamiyat office at that time, I've heard personally from them. One of them was Moulana Ahmad Umar Sahab, Dam Barakatuhum, and others also, who had personally witnessed this. In fact, just about a few weeks back, met one person who used to work somewhere, but he had a very, because they were working in some place which was under the Jamiyat supervision at the time, so they used to interact with Moulana a lot. So he says that it was a common thing among us, the simple ordinary worker. He says that there was a common thing among us that we used to call his top pocket the magic pocket. He said, anybody go and ask anything from him, his hand is gone in his pocket and something he'll give the person. So this was his sahawat. One incident that happened once, he was gone for Umrah, and somebody came and gave one hadiyah to his son-in-law, elder son-in-law, to give it to him. So he gave it to him in an envelope. He was a well-known person, somebody close as well. So in any case now, when he came and gave it, I opened it, so there was 10,000 riyals inside. 10,000 riyals. So now the person he wasn't a stranger, he was well known, he gave the hadiyah out of Ikhlas. So he accepted it. But by the second day, in other words, within 48 hours, the last of those riyals were already spent dishing it out to others. The workers in the Haram Sharif, He would go to the Qabristan and give the workers, and Allah Ta'ala made it such that they were so used to receiving from him. Now that he's buried in Makkah Mukarramah, any South African comes, they immediately know something is coming out of respect for Moulana, this person also give me something. So, within 48 hours, that last bit of those 10,000 riyals were already spent on others. One person told me he met him in Makkah Sharif. This person was well known, meaning to Hazrat, because he was based at he was the muazzin of the masjid in Karachi, Hazrat Shaki Makhtar Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi's masjid. So for a long time, when Hazrat would go there, he used to meet him. This person would make some khidmat also. Then he moved over to Hijaz. Moulana had been on Umrah there, and this person happened to meet him. So he didn't see him for a long time, so he asked him, he said, no, I'm based here now. So he started asking him, how's everything going, whatever. He was just trying to still establish himself. So he mentioned some halat. So he said, Ma put his hand in his pocket. Whatever came, he didn't even see. Ma didn't see, he just put in his hand and went away. He said, afterwards when I opened up, this was 1,000 riyals. So this was the kind of istighna he had. I recall this lesson of this istighna. That while I was still in Azadville, he had gone for Umrah, Allah Ta'ala had blessed him with, that was his love for the Haramain Sharifain, his love for Madinah Munawwara, and this was his tarteeb, which many then afterwards started following in the same tarteeb. He would go straight to Madinah Sharif, spend a few days there, then come to Makkah Mukarramah, and then finally go back to Madinah Sharif and leave from there. And he had a tremendous ishq for the Haramain Sharifain. So in any case, he was gone for Umrah at that time. Allah Ta'ala blessed him with numerous asfar to the Haramain Sharifain. And somebody from Johannesburg was there, the person was coming back. Perhaps it might have been somebody from Azadville, I can't recall. If I remember correctly, it was in my second year or third year. So he wrote one letter from there. My ghaflat that I lost that letter. And ever so regretted it. After I passed away, I searched for it high and low, but just couldn't find it. So I couldn't remember the contents of it, but one line or one piece of advice that he had given in that letter. Now, he was gone for Umrah. It was a 4-page letter. 4-page letter of just nasihat. First some general things, some other aspects, whatever. And then 4 pages, out of that 3 pages was just nasihat. Now this again, somebody's gone for Umrah. Generally, nowadays, the way it's gone, Umrah has become another outing, illa mashallah. But from there also, that same concern. Somebody is going back, he took time to sit down and write a 4-page letter. And I don't think I was the only person receiving letters. Many were receiving letters from there. Any case, that one piece of advice that was there, now because we're already now going or trying to go in a similar line of talab ilm. So he wrote there that the time would come when we would have to associate even with the wealthy. So our association with them must be for their benefit from our deen, not for our benefit from their wealth. That piece of advice stuck in my mind from that time. Allah Ta'ala give me tawfiq to make amal. We are far away from the amal, but that piece of advice is there. So Allah's fazal that one piece of advice got left in the mind, in the memory. But the rest of it, my ghaflat only after now, when moving from Azadville back to Durban, somehow it got misplaced, and ever since couldn't find it. But this was the kind of istighna that Allah Ta'ala blessed him with, and he never took ta'assur from anybody's wealth, and never forget ishraf and wanting that wealth. If it came in his hands too, it was just gone, and he just made taqseem of it. So this was among those very salient qualities that he possessed in terms of these aspects. Then there are so many things. As far as his tawazu is concerned, we just touched on this right at the beginning. Allah Ta'ala had blessed him with tremendous tawazu. Tawazu is something that can't be explained in words. The haqiqat of tawazu can never be explained in words. And somebody else's tawazu also can't be described in words. It's something that is to be experienced. All our akabir, mashallah, every one of them, without exception, they cannot be anybody that can reach any level of any maqam without these sifat. So mashallah, all the akabir, Allah Ta'ala has blessed them with all these sifat. Likewise, the Maulana also was tremendously blessed with tawazu. But as mentioned, you can't describe this. This is something that is experienced. And whoever came into contact with him, they couldn't leave without becoming impressed with his tawazu. Whether it was some worldly person, whether it was some learned person, whether it was somebody, whoever it might have been. And if they had some little interaction with him, that was something that won them over. To the extent that let alone those who were mu'taqid of him, even those who were, we call them, in some way they were his enemies maybe. Those who were opposed to him, leave the word enemies, say opposed to him. Those who were in some other maslak of some sort. But, Hazrat Tashif laying, so, in any case, what I was saying is that they couldn't leave without becoming impressed with his tawazu. One of the things that was a common thing, many ulama, especially now at that time, I was still young and would just maybe meet somebody and they didn't know what the relationship was, ask who you are and who's Yunus up to you. So I would mention he's my elder brother. So immediately they would start talking something about him. And one of the things that bare mutawazi hai, ajeeb tawazu hai unki. Now this tawazu, what are they talking about? It was an experience that they had with him. And let alone the ulama, the learned, etc. One youngster, mashallah, was very close to Hazrat. I one day asked him how your taluk started off. So he says, I was in my jeans and t-shirt, and one day I came to Moulana in his masjid, and I said to him that I want to discuss something, I need some time. So he said, okay, look, I got some visitors now, I'm going to go home now, because this mehman are there, but I will come 3 o'clock here to the masjid, I'll meet you here. So if you can make it at that time, otherwise we'll schedule it for another time. So he said, no, I'm free, it was a Sunday afternoon. He said, no, I'll come at 3 o'clock. Any case, about around 2:45 or just before 3 o'clock, Mawaz sent somebody to the masjid from house to find him and tell him, look, the mehman haven't left yet, I'm delayed. So, if you can pardon me, I'll come just now. Maybe it might be another half an hour or so, but I will come. He said, no, I had no problem with waiting, I waited. After about half an hour, Mawaz came. So he took me to the office, sat down. He says, I had all kinds of muddled up questions. And things which were, many things, just here and there, all my confusion and whatever else. He says, first he made me so comfortable, sat me down and asked me about myself, who am I, where am I, whatever else, made me very comfortable. Then he asked me, okay, what your issues are. And whatever questions I had in a very calm way. And he says, he was in university at the time. I had a different mizaj and different tabiyat. Anything anybody asks me, I want reasons for it. Anything somebody tells me, anything somebody advises me, give me some advice or tells me something, I want to know why. And he says, that was exactly the thing I was doing in Hazrat Moulana as well. He's saying something to me, I'm asking him why. So he's giving me the answer why. He's explaining to me on top of that. He says, by the time that one meeting was over, he says, I was completely melted. And he says, that became the start of this taluk. And I had just come just for the once off, just to get some confusions of my mind and heart. And he says, but this was the start. I think this was one of many, many, many people like this. Who he won them over with that compassion, with that kindness, with that tawazu, without making anybody feel inferior in any way. And he would go out of his way to accommodate everyone, make everyone comfortable. This is something which is often said, don't judge anybody. Indeed, don't judge anybody. We can't judge anyone in terms of what is the end result. We can't say at the end result this person is going to be in Jannat or Jahannam. We don't know about ourselves. What are we going to know about anybody else? If somebody's wrong action, that will get judged that this wrong is wrong. Not that we're going to condemn the person openly there and there. We will not judge him in terms of the natija. Because we can't judge that. That is in the ilm of Allah Ta'ala. What is going to be the end result of somebody? Something that is wrong, but there's a way of how to going about rectifying that wrong. How to go about addressing that wrong. How to win the person to give up that wrong. And this was, like many, alhamdulillah, all our kabir have this kamal in them of how to win the person and deal with him in such a way that he himself starts getting ihsas of his wrongs and starts giving it up. So this was one of the very other great qualities that he had. Then as far as his personal life is concerned, this is something which obviously others don't normally would get to know about it. But at home he was a totally different person. Person of that caliber, person who had that respect out there, that kind of following and all these things. But at home, he became very much part of the house. He had that kind of time for his family. There were times when Appa would be ill and they were in Umrah, etc. He would take care of cleaning that apartment. He would vacuum the place. Now this is we're talking about in that latter time where there were thousands of people calling him Hazrat and all the other titles and accolades. But behind those closed doors, in that four walls, this was his tartib. This was his way. As far as coming back to this aspect of tawazu, it was this very tawazu that took him to his heights. And that is obviously, man tawada'a lillah rafa'ahu Allah. It was in the time of already his uruj, when he was already very prominent. He was already very maqbool. He had a great following of his own. And people were coming from far and wide to take benefit from him. But in that time, when already he had all this maqam and position, he found the need within himself to still go and subject himself to somebody. And this can only come and stem out of tawazu. At that pedestal and that level, at that maqam already, and at that time Hazrat Shah Hakim Akhtar Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi had already started coming to South Africa. It was perhaps his third safar, I think. Either the second or the third safar. Hazrat Maulana went and became bayat to him. Among the people, we spoke earlier about du'as. These are, as I said, no tartib involved here. Among the people's du'as that he took was the du'as of his Shaykh Hazrat Shah Hakim Akhtar Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi. Tremendous du'as. And tremendous endorsement that he got from his own Shaykh. One is that the Murids, mashallah, praise the Shaykh. But the Shaykh praising the Murid is something else. Once one person from South Africa had gone to Karachi and he was sitting in Hazrat's company, just the two of them were there. And he mentioned something about Hazrat Moulana to Hazrat Shah Hakim Akhtar Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi. One incident of Hazrat Moulana. So Shah Hakim Akhtar Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi said to him, ऐसे लोग बहुत मुश्किल से मिलते हैं. Then he said to him something further. He says, मैं शुक्र करता हूँ कि अल्लाह ताला ने उनका हाथ मेरे हाथ में दे दिया. The Shaykh is making shukr that Allah Ta'ala gave him to me, that he'll become a sadqa jariyah for me. So, among the du'as he took tremendous du'as of Hazrat Shah Hakim Akhtar Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi. Once while Hazrat was in Umrah, Hazrat Moulana was there as well. Hazrat Shah Hakim Akhtar Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi had left from Medina Munawwara to come to Jeddah, and from Jeddah they were going to leave. So the Moulana's flight was a few days later. So he was still there in Medina Munawwara. When they reached Medina Munawwara, one of the Khuddam forgot Hazrat's one briefcase which had a lot of important documents in there and whatever else. So they became very pareshan. Immediately they phoned Hazrat Moulana to say that, look, maybe this got left in the lobby of that hotel. Please go and check if it's there. And if it's there, please take it. So he came quickly down and he inquired from the reception. They had found it. It was there. They realized somebody forgot it. So they had already given him the description on the phone. So he gave the description, so they handed it over to him. So immediately phoned to give the news that, okay, I found this. It's there. I got it with me. So that was content now that somebody else was supposed to come 2 days later. So he said, okay, he's going to come certain day. You give it to him. He'll bring it. One of Hazrat Mutaliqeen. The Mawla says that, I said, okay, fine, I'll send it to so-and-so. He says, when I left from, after I cut that call, he says, I had just enough money left in my pocket at that time, which would be enough for a bus ticket from Medina Munawwara to Jeddah and back. That was all that was left from the expenses of that safar. He says, I immediately told my family, look, I'm just going to be gone for the night. I'll come back tomorrow. I'm just going to hand this to Hazrat directly. He says, I went to the bus station there. I caught a bus, came directly to Jeddah. And didn't tell anybody he's coming. Came directly to had made inquiry somehow beforehand where Hazrat is stationed. Came directly to the house and he knocked on the door. When the person of the house opened the door and he saw him, he knew him very well obviously, he got a shock of his life, that where did Mawa come from? So he immediately went to Hazrat and gave him, Mawa Tashif Laye hai. He said, Mawa, Yunus Sahib aaye hai? He said, yes. Called him quickly, aap kaise aa gaye? He says, no, I brought this and came. So why you brought it now and came? This is something that person is coming 2 days time, he would have brought it and come. He says, I felt that my Shaykh's heart would be more at ease if it came in his hand. He says, the du'as that Hazrat gave me at that time, he says that I regard as one of those very special du'as that has played a very big role in whatever I have achieved. Then one of the nights in Makkah Mukarramah, in Medina Munawwara, it was late at night, and he says suddenly out of the blue, this was Hazrat's tarteeb, out of the blue, suddenly he would just get ready. Sometime past midnight, everybody had just gone to make aram, and Hazrat just woke up and he started walking. Kaha ja rahe? Bas abhi salam pesh karne ke liye ja rahe. So Hazrat Moulana happened to be just present. He quickly joined Hazrat. 1, 2 others joined him. He says he came, it was totally quiet. Those off season or whatever it might have been, it says completely quiet. And he says Hazrat came after having offered his salams and so on. Then he came very close to the Jali Mubarak. And he says he peered in for a long time. And then he says that while I was there in the time while he was offering his salam, so I did something which at that time I don't know what made me do it. And I later on asked Hazrat, please maaf for whatever I did, but I don't know what overcame me. So while Hazrat was busy offering his salam, completely motionless there, so I went and I held on to his hand. And he says it was like some electric shock that came into me. But I just remained standing still for that duration that Hazrat was there until he finished off. Then he says he stood at a long time close to the Jali Mubarak. Nobody even moved him away from there. And then he stood quietly there. After he left from there, he just said to him, Moulana Yunus Sahab, aapke liye khoob mang liya. Now, these are the du'as of parents, of asatiza, of mashayikh, which have a very tremendous impact. And Hazrat, this was his taqya kalam of often that we surviving on the du'as of people. This was his tawazu, he's surviving on the du'as of people. So, any case, all these things put together made him what he was. And it was this tawazu that made him at that time in his life, when he was held in such esteem, to become a humble murid of some great sheikh of the time. And then he conducted himself in that way. Many a times he would go to Karachi, he wouldn't even make it known. Whenever, with Allah Ta'ala's tawfiq, we went many times from beforehand, try and make the arrangements, who's going to make the arrangements to fetch us at the airport. Many times Mama went, took a taxi himself, which was, the emphasis there was don't do this because it's not safe to do it. But he would say, nahi, yahan talib ban karke aana hai, koi sheikh ban karke nahi aana hai. And he would just catch his own taxi. When he enters the khanqa, they come to know he reached. Or he even came, they didn't know before that he was coming. And in this way he would sit very, very, like any other very humble person, humble murid in that whole khanqa. And without anything, any mashikhat at that time, he totally made fun of himself in the company of his sheikh, and that became one of the very big advancements in his life. This was also that tawazu, that at that point in time, he went and humbled himself in this way. He found the need for it. He found that to be necessary. And throughout till the end of his life, this was among the very big, prominent aspects in his life. As long as his asatiza, the Mufti Mahmud Sahib, etc. were alive, he kept a very close taluk with them. Again, another point that's coming to mind in terms of the taluk he had with his asatiza and their endorsement of him. When it was in 93, just after Ramadan, about a month after Ramadan, few weeks after Ramadan, Mawlana suddenly made a safar to Deoband. The Mufti Mahmud Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi was alive at that time, and he went specially to meet him. So when he came, he met Hazrat Mufti Sahib said, Moulana Sahib, aaj ye Shawwal ka safar kaisa? Everybody comes often, the tarteeb is they come in Ramadan, some before, you came in Shawwal, Shawwal ka safar kaisa? So Moulana says, I replied and said, ye bas ek taqaza ho gaya, ki aana hai. So he says, Hazrat replied and said, nahi, mera taqaza tha, ki aap aaye. And on that occasion, Hazrat had given him khilafat as well. So he says, when Hazrat gave this khilafat and ijazat, it was a few months before that he had made ruju to Hazrat Shah Hakim Akhtar Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi, and Hazrat had given him ijazat as well. So he says, I put forward this to Hazrat Mufti Sahib that मैं तो Hazrat Hakim Akhtar Sahib से रुजू कर उनकी तरफ रुजू कर चुका हूँ, इसमें क्या हुआ? So this was that, and the du'as of all these akabir. So as mentioned at the beginning, mashallah, these all our akabir, they haven't just been, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi, he used to say that those who look at the latter part of the mashayikh's lives, and if they focus on that and see, mashallah, what ikram and istiqbal and whatever else, and Like Shaykh Hamdullah Ali mentioned, in the latter part of the Mashayikh life, somebody sees all that istiqbal and that ikram, and if he thinks this is it, he says gumrah ho jayenge. You must look at the early part of their life. The mujahada they made at that time. What kind of sacrifices were made. The things that we discussed earlier. What kind of qurbani to remain in that little town. And the main reason to remain in that little town, there's no alim in this whole vast area. And if I'm going to go away to Kirk Street based on that offer of 800 rands compared to 90 rands, then this whole place will be left without any alim. They don't have anybody for their masail. They got something to find out. Sometimes nikah to perform, janazas, whatever. There's nobody around. On that basis he remained. Now that kind of qurbani, and then making fana of themselves. So all these things are what brings about that end result. And Hazrat Maulana's sakhawat, just on that note, one of the incidents that comes to mind, one brother mentioned to me one day, that Hazrat Maulana was quite close to them, he used to come often to their house, etc. They used to call him, one of the ulama there, his elder brother. So he says that one day Hazrat Maulana was coming to their place, or had been there, and one person from the area, as probably they came out, or they were outside the yard, and one person from the area, some person who had some of his own weaknesses, whatever habits, he used to keep going every now and again to Maulana's house to ask him for some money. So in any case, he saw Maulana, he thought, now, Maulana is in my area now, this is Ghanimat, I have to go all the way there normally. So he's already here, so he came immediately and started asking for something. So Maulana gave him 10 rands. Now 10 rands we're talking about 30, 40 years ago. 30 years ago at least. So 10 rands was a significant amount. So this person became a bit vulgar. So what do you think I'm going to do with this? Can I do anything with this? And he started becoming abusive. So he said, Maulana kept quiet. His brother is saying, I started reprimanding this person. What's your problem? How can you talk like this? So Maulana kept quiet. He jumped in his car and he went away. So in any case, this brother says, I reprimanded him and he also went away. He says, later now, because it was in our area, I saw this by chance. He said, I was coming back at night after Isha from somewhere. I suddenly noticed Maulana is outside this person's door. Because I was passing there, he said, I just happened to look in the direction. Maulana came to give him something more. After that abuse, after that vulgarity, and after having given him something already in any case, but now because this is how he responded, Maulana came all the way back to give him something more. And this is something which I noticed so many times. This was it was just something that his hands were just free in giving, and there was no name of asking anybody anything, any ishraf from anyone. It was always that humility, humbleness, traveling without any kind of airs. There were one or two khuddam who would insist and travel with him, and that too when he became ill after those few heart attacks he had, others would insist also that no, you should take somebody along. Otherwise he didn't want any of these things. But this was the combination of all these sifat. And again, as mentioned, that kitab Allah Walu ki maqbuliyat ka raz, all the Allah Walas, it's all the sifat combined in them. That taqwa, that khashiyat, which Allah Ta'ala had blessed Hazrat Maulana to a great extent as well. Allah Ta'ala give me first and foremost even one iota of this. Hamara bhi kaam ban jaye. Allah Ta'ala bless us all. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
हम आमीन कहेंगे, हम आमीन कहेंगे। सुब्हान रब्बियल अअल वहाब अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना व नबिय्यिना व शफीइना व हबीबिना व मौलाना मुहम्मद व बारिक वसल्लिम रब्बना आतिना फिद दुनिया हसनतन व फिल आखिरति हसनतन व क़िना अज़ाबन नार वअदखिलनल जन्नत मअल अबरार وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين اللهم حاسبنا حسابا يسيرا اللهم أجرنا من النار اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة اللهم إنك عفو رحيم كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. ربنا اصرف عنا عذاب جهنم إن عذابها كان غراما. ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان زينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. اللهم اجعلنا من التوابين واجعلنا من المتطهرين واجعلنا من عبادك الصالحين واجعلنا من الذين لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وسعيا مشكورا وذنبا مغفورا وعملا صالحا مقبولا وتجارة لن تبور. يا عالم ما في الصدور أخرجنا من الظلمات إلى النور. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم. سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب العرش العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. نسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والغنيمة من كل بر والسلامة من كل إثم. لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة هي لك إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم أعنا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.